Good afternoon, folks. This is Deb and Dave, and this is the Factivist Report for Monday, the 25th of September, because I had a rare working Sunday, and we had to move it. So tonight, this afternoon, we're going to talk about the first big lie ever to come out of the Republican Party's mouth, that there is actually a left-wing media bias. I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
So before we talk about the left-wing media bias, let's talk about what the news media is supposed to be. They originally were called the Fourth Estate, and let's get into that real quick. So,
by the way, let me just say that the media is a very important part of the checks and balances to the
exactly.
Or it's supposed to be.
Supposed to be. Well, here's the thing. What better way to ensure that you can do dirty things or things that you're not really supposed to do by attacking the watchdogs, which is the press. They're the ones they're a big checks and balances type of thing. They're the ones investigating whether or not you're doing the right thing. So if you attack them, who else is out there? So in the beginning, the press was called the Fourth Estate. This is back in Europe. You had the First Estate being the clergy, Second Estate being nobility, Third Estate being the common people of the bourgeoisie, and the Fourth Estate being the press. Now, when the United States came to be, they created the three forms of government. Those became the three estates for the United States. And the Fourth Estate was the press. And the Fourth Estate, as I said before, refers to the watchdog role of the press, which is important to a functioning democracy.
We do understand that, do we not, folks? They're not there to aid and abet politicians. Not that they don't ever say good things about them. When they do good things, they should.
Right.
They're not there to cover for or provide a platform for corrupt people. Saying. Okay. Sorry.
Now, the Atlantic, you're going to see a lot of A's across my screen because they did some fantastic work in regards to talking about the Fourth Estate, talking about this liberal bias lie. And the first story was by Nicole Hemmer. This was almost 10 years ago. This is January 17th, 2014, talking about the conservative war on liberal media having a long history. This goes back to the 40s, actually. But it solidified with Barry Goldwater, who was the first one who actually talked about the left-wing media bias. And then in 1968, during the Democratic National Convention,
Richie Dickey Nixon,
there were rumblings about the media and how it didn't cover the riots in an unbiased way, blah blah blah, and then things started to snowball. So
Tricky had his problems with the media too. Tricky
he did
on the left-wing media. That left-wing media used to dump on Tricky too. So
well, they helped kick him out.
Right. Well, I would have to say, without the Washington Post, he may never have been. Right. Okay, the Washington Post, when it comes to Watergate, did an amazing job.
Amazing. Yep. So attacking the press.
Papers like that now.
Right. Attacking the press for a liberal bias is a staple of Republican campaigns. It all began in 1964. There he is Barry.
Yeah, Mr. Asshole, another one of my least favorite right wing shitbags. Pardon my language.
So this story, CNN, stop it. This story again, Nicole Hemmer. So Goldwater was 1964's Republican presidential candidate, and he was convinced, or at least he convinced the public, that journalists covering the campaign were infusing their reporting with a left-leaning tilt while claiming to be neutral observers. As a staunch conservative, Goldwater believed this bias put him at a distinct advantage against his race against lefty Lyndon Johnson. I'm just he considered
As a lefty, give me a break. Okay.
he did. He considered Lyndon Johnson, and by the way, Barry Goldwater was also a racist,
Oh,
but
Jesus.
Lyndon Johnson was a racist.
Yes, he was.
Okay. So, struggling in the polls, he insisted that his message, rolling back the New Deal and taking the fight to the communists, by the way, we'll talk about that in a
Back
minute.
the New Deal. That's what a good
Yeah,
idea that would have been. Fucking people.
was popular with Americans. The trouble, he said, was that his positions were constantly being distorted by the liberal gatekeepers in the media and needled the journalists trailing him, even handing out pins to reporters that read Eastern liberal press. So
So
this whole idea,
let me just say one thing about him with getting rid of the New Deal.
yeah,
This has been a long-standing plan for the Republican Party. They are now today, 2023, talking about getting rid of Medicare and Medicaid, Social
right.
Security. That is the New Deal.
And by the way, attacking reporters and calling them lefty radicals again. Yeah, Trump was doing nothing original.
Right.
Okay, with the whole fake news thing.
Right.
This has been going on for decades now.
By the way, he just came out maybe an hour ago promising retribution for the media if he's reelected.
Yep, we're going to go into that.
Yep.
We're going to go into that pretty deep, actually, because it's a trap. It's a trap. And by the way, Goldwater and the conservatives, the right wing, they attacked Russia. It was about the socialist programs. He constantly attacked the socialist programs. That's what he was really attacking.
Right.
So this article by Salon, I recommend it to everyone. This is where this whole show started, and this is how I got the idea. Okay. The myth of the liberal news and how media does the work of fascists. Here's the bottom line. There's a couple of things to this whole thing. Number one, this whole idea of liberal media and the press, it's been around, as we've said, since the 60s. Actually, before that, but it kind of solidified with Barry Goldwater and then Roger Ailes during the Democratic National Convention, and then it grabbed hold because Roger Ailes was a television guy and he got Nixon on TV. And then, of course, Roger Ailes much later with Fox News. But how does this work? Now you have news media companies who are terrified of the left media bias label. So they want to be fair and balanced. That's how Trump got his softball interview. That's how sometimes you see kind of the wishy-washy, mushy reporting from the media about the things that the Republicans are doing that are just so outrageous. There is no both sides to some of this. We've been talking about it forever. And the thing I'm going to talk about later in the show is shutting down the government as a bully tactic. So here's what I wanted to say. This is from Wikipedia. Senator Barry Goldwater, a conservative, was the first Republican to publicly allege liberal media bias during his 1964 campaign. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, conservative media critics often claim that the U.S. Media skews towards the political left. They have been doing that for decades. Couple things on Barry Goldwater if you want to take a look later. This is an article back from September 30th, 1964, asserting that rivals are soft on communism. Basically, what he's talking about is socialist policies. Okay, he's talking about giving money away and that kind of thing.
We should probably try not to call them socialist policies.
Well, what he calls socialist policies. They're social programs.
Right.
It's what he calls social. And let me see if I can find a yeah. Republican presidential candidate also said the Democratic Party was the party of the, and by the way, listen, this again, Trump and all these guys, they're not original. The Democratic Party was the party of the corrupt, the power mad, and the radicals of the left.
I think it's pretty obvious that they're projecting the Republican Party right now is the corrupt, power mad, and the radicals on the right. And that they're sticking that right in your face. They're not hiding that.
So he's accusing the administration of being soft on communism. Let me see. There was. Yeah. Okay. In his speech tonight, Mr. Goldwater repeated 4 times his charge that the administration was soft on communism, a phrase that recalled the campaigns of the late 40s and early 1950s. And remember, McCarthyism, that was huge in the 50s. Mr. Goldwater said that drift, deception, and defeat were the watchwords of Mr. Johnson and his curious crew. The Democratic vice presidential candidate Hubert Humphrey was always targeted as the ADA of the radical left. Here we go. Senator Goldwater asked why Senator Humphrey wanted so badly to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. And yes, I saw the
typo.
I saw the typo. To drag our nation, right. To drag our nation into the swampland of collectivism, to take hundreds of billions of dollars from your pockets to spend on silly socialistic schemes, which are social programs, by the way.
Let's translate silly socialistic schemes. Let's translate, okay? Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security.
Yep.
Food stamps for people who can't eat, who are living on the fucking streets, okay?
The WPA program.
Let's wake up.
Yeah. So there you go.
You might not ever need those programs. I can tell you there are millions in this country who do.
Now, we have the Goldwater Institute now. American supporters of socialism don't understand what socialism is. I do. I believe Deb does. At least in the context of the United States.
Right.
Okay. It's different here than in other
The
countries.
Republicans who don't know what socialism is, they can't tell the fucking difference between socialism and communism. They use them interchangeably.
Right. There are definite differences. I mean, communism is public ownership of land, or government ownership of land, rather.
Right.
So stop. Socialist programs are different. We had some right winger, call Fetterman a communist because he wears workman's clothes.
Who wears cargo shorts?
Yeah.
That's what I wear to work every fucking day of the summer. Cargo shorts.
So 1968 was a moment when the idea of liberal media bias got nationalized, and this is where Roger Ailes basically got his moment in the sun.
He got his moment in the sun, but you know who else helped with that? Do you remember the book, The Selling of the President? Richard Nixon?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in there too.
Right. Yep. So, oh yeah, and Buckley was part of it too.
Yeah. William F. Buckley.
And this goes more into the Atlantic once again. Catherine Kramer Brownell. Richard Nixon decided a powerful new medium should appeal to the marketplace, not to the citizens. He started ripping out protections.
Yep.
So now
he was the president of the United States until Donald Trump.
Right. When you hear the right wing talk about wokeness, it's the same thing as socialism.
Right.
It's just that socialism or big government, those words don't have as much power anymore. So they had to rebrand what they were talking about.
And you know what? Holy shit. Maybe they should have gotten an advertising agency, because wokeness is fucking lame. Okay? That's a fucking lame. That's almost as lame as let's go Brandon. You know, right. That was fuck Joe Biden, and someone misheard it as let's go Brandon. I just, they would have been better off with fuck Joe Biden.
Right. Right. So now we're going to get a little bit into some of what the media does and how things work now with the whole, we have to make it fair and balanced. We have to show both sides, that kind of thing. We get people who do something out of the ordinary or outlandish, especially if it shows some kind of shift from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. Oh my God, it's just, we got to say it. So Mayor Eric Johnson, he's the mayor of Dallas. Understand this. He's on his last term. He can't run again. So he decided in a opinion piece to declare that he's switching to the Republican Party. Now, this is all I'm going to say about this. Mayor Eric Johnson, America's cities need Republicans, and I'm becoming one. Fine.
Bye.
Have a nice life, whatever. It's his last term. And by the way, Dallas is more progressive than the rest of the state. So basically what the Democrats said is he should have been more forthcoming, because he wouldn't have won. He wouldn't have won. But they weren't surprised by this, because he had fought the Democratic Party time and time again. This is what I think is interesting. This is what he says. While Dallas has thrived, elsewhere, Democratic policies have exacerbated crime and homelessness. So even though the Democratic Party has worked in my state and where I'm at, I'm going to make a statement and change to the Republican Party.
Big whoop.
And the Republican Party said, sure, come on in.
Yeah, come on in, because we'll take anything.
Right.
Especially if you're not telling the truth. We like you even better.
And the media has kind of eaten this up. They've done the dramatic thing. Oh, it's a dramatic shift and all of that kind of thing.
Get out.
When in all reality, as I said, the guy's gonna move on soon anyway.
Maybe he'll run as a Republican for president someday.
Right. And yes, he's African American. He's a black guy.
Bye. Have a nice day.
So, although mayoral offices in Texas are nonpartisan, the switch is a boost for Texas Republicans. Really?
Yeah, go ahead. Texas is fucking useless. One other state I would never fucking even entertain stepping foot in again.
So here the Salon article basically details why Meet the Press is doing what they're doing. Number one, they're afraid of being labeled the liberal press. Number two, they're a business, and the Republicans supposedly have business interests at heart. And number three, I mean, more media moguls, more and more are buying up. Conservative media moguls are buying up media companies.
Watch out for that, folks. When they control the narrative, they've got control.
Look at Rupert Murdoch. Look at Musk.
Yep.
Just saying. Trump set for Meet the Press interview Sunday as Kristen Welker takes over as moderator. So,
right.
And at the same time this was happening, there we go. The Messenger was unveiled as a new news outlet, internet news outlet. Okay, so, and I took a look at it. I almost put it in here, but I'm not. You want to look at it? Look at it. It's just another right-wing leaning paper. Just saying. One thing I failed to mention is back in the 40s, even when they were talking about you don't have to have objectivity. You can still be a journalist and not be objective. You can state your bias outright, but at the same time, they're skewering, the left wing for its bias. And I looked at the Messenger, and it's obvious what it was. So, with a softball interview of Trump, the Messenger launches by legitimizing extremism. And I'm leaving this here. So
let me just say something about this thing. All right, this is the way I look at things, and it's just it is my media bias. We are in a nation right now that is teetering on the brink of fascism.
Right.
Donald Trump should not be given an open platform to spew his venom and his bullshit It is one thing to conduct an interview, all right? It is one thing to conduct an interview and call him out every time he lies, because every time he opens his mouth, he's lying.
Right.
It's quite another thing to put him on a TV show and hand him a fucking microphone and allow him to do the same shit he does at his rallies. That is not the role of media. That's not fair and balanced. That's pure right-wing bullshit. Fair and balanced is bullshit. The role of the media is to expose fascists, to expose traitors, to expose people like Donald Trump, not cover for them.
And by the way, you guys are going to say, well, show us how bad this interview was. Show us how softball this interview was. Hold on one second. Here's the full transcript. Okay. And what I mean by softball is you ask a question, setting Trump up to just state his platform.
That's
You're
right.
not asking anything hard hitting. You're not, and by the way, talking over him and saying, but wait, but that's not hard hitting journalism.
That's not even journalism.
Right.
I thought Kristen Welker was terrible. Of course, I did not like Todd either. I just think Todd's another freaking milquetoast, talking head. But
so,
I didn't think Kristen Welker did a good job.
So the very first question that she asked, and I'll read a couple things here. There are a number of things that make your campaign unprecedented. You're the first former president to run for re-election in more than 100 years. You're facing 4 indictments. You have an incredibly significant lead in the GOP primary polls. But I want to ask you this, Mr. President. Why do you want to be president again?
Why don't they call him Mr. Trump? He's not a president. He lost.
And by the way,
the judge isn't even calling him Mr.
Right.
President.
So
he's Mr. Citizen now.
This sets it up for, that's a very simple answer. It's called Make America Great Again, blah, 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 blah.
Here we go. Here he goes. And then he goes off on our country is in serious trouble, blah, 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 blah. I am so fucking tired of him. I am.
Well, you've talked about a lot. We're going to delve into a couple of issues.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kristen. Yeah.
So, all right.
Sit her on a fucking chair. Call her a
I
journalist.
want to talk to you. Okay. Let's talk about the breaking news today. We learned just a short time ago that the president's son, Hunter Biden, I mean, come on.
100 gun charges.
Given that, Mr. Can you continue to say there are 2 systems of justice? Of course he's going to say that.
It's so ridiculous. Get out. Get the fuck out.
That's enough.
They can read it. I don't want to read it.
Now.
I turned it off after the first 3 minutes.
Right. So there's this. Now, maybe, just maybe, they did this because, number one, they want the press, they want the exposure, they want the high profile guy. Okay. And they want to seem fair, whatever. They want to seem balanced. And on top of that, they don't want to upset him or be labeled, liberal media. Guess what? They softballed the hell out of him. He did it anyway. Trump accuses media of treason and escalation of social media threats. And he does it to the very people that interviewed him in a softball way and gave him what he wanted.
NBC. He specifically stated today that he was going after NBC.
Donald Trump said he would investigate media outlets like NBC News and MSNBC if he retakes the White House in 2024. What else do you need? After they softballed the hell out of him.
Yeah, he calls it MSDNC. Honest to God, people, what is it going to take?
Here's the actual tweet. I'm not going to show it. You guys can read it on your own. Now, I am just showing this, not to be, fair and balanced, but to show you to be careful what you read and check your sources. Okay. This guy claims media bias against conservatives is real and part of the reason no one trusts the news now. It might not be conscious, but the way the reporters treat conservatives in their coverage has always shown their liberal leanings. This is by Evan Siegfried. So what do? I check the guy out. This is Evan Siegfried.
Actually, what you all should do when you read from somebody you don't know.
Politics Today translated. Evan Siegfried is a nationally featured political commentator, millennial expert, and author of GOP GPS.
There you go, kids. Yeah. Okay.
Now, this is an article why conservatives can't stop acquiring media companies. Why do you think? It's pretty simple. I mean,
control the narrative.
Yeah. Recent conservative media acquisitions reflect the right's long-standing desire for mainstream acceptance of unpopular ideas. They just twist the narrative.
Yep.
Such as, if you think that Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it isn't a media company, it's not real news, but it does spread information and it does spread propaganda. And here is its owner. Elon Musk's refusal to have Starlink support Ukraine attacking Crimea raises questions for the Pentagon.
This guy's a scumbag from the day he was born. He is unbelievable.
So excerpts of a new biography of Musk published by the Washington Post last week revealed that Ukrainians in September 2022 had asked for Starlink support to attack Russian naval vessels based at the Crimean port of Sevastopol. Musk had refused due to concerns that Russia would launch a nuclear attack in response.
That's bullshit.
Russia seized Crimea from the Ukraine in 2014 and claims it is its territory.
Russia wants the oil.
Yeah.
The only reason they're doing this. Everybody needs to wake the fuck up.
Musk was not on military contract when he refused Crimea request. He'd been providing terminals to Ukraine for free in response to Russia's February 2022 invasion. However, in the months since, the U.S. military has funded and officially contracted with Starlink for continued support. Understand what that means.
His money. They should kill the contract.
He's going to be investigated.
Yeah, he needs to be investigated.
The Pentagon has not disclosed the terms of cost of that contract, citing operational security. That's fine. But the Pentagon is reliant on SpaceX for far more than the Ukraine response, and the uncertainty that Musk or any other commercial vendor could refuse to provide services in a future conflict has led Space Systems military planners to reconsider what needs to be explicitly laid out in future agreements, which I don't know why it wasn't in the past.
You know, this again is a lesson in privatization. That's what this is. Okay. Yep. This is why when they want to privatize shit, you don't do it. All right.
Right.
You don't do it.
So here's another. I just threw this in because I want people to understand that the right wing is not about anti-Russia. It's about anti-socialist programs or social services. They call it
Being
socialist program
homophobic and misogynistic. This is exactly. You want to know why the GOP is in Vladimir Putin's ballpark? Because that's what they want for this country.
because he's a tyrant.
They want this kind of rule in the United States. Look at, I don't know what the fuck everybody needs to understand. I mean, what everybody needs to hear before they understand this. They're all in his ballpark, all of them,
Right.
with the exception of some people in the Senate, but it's immaterial because
Right.
majority rules in this country. That's the way it works here.
By the way, I mean, again, they're not anti-Russia. They love this guy.
They do.
A lot of the right wingers,
They
including
idolize this guy,
including Matt Gaetz, who I'll go into. He's bullying the United States government into he's trying to get certain concessions and trying to hold up the budget, just like Tuberville has been doing with the military.
This is what you want here.
Yeah.
And you're thinking maybe you're not going to vote come 2024. Well, this is what you're going to end up with.
Right.
What
By the way, one thing I didn't forget to mention is that Trump, and you mentioned Paul Gosar, I didn't put it in here, but the reason Trump went crazy after the interview, the softball interview, are the events that happened with Mark Milley. And he's calling Mark Milley, whatever, like a what was it, gay friendly and this and that and the other thing.
Homosexual enabling, whatever. He went on a tirade where he not only called him names like that, but called for his execution.
Yep.
Trump did it too. Trump did it first.
Gosar talked about hanging, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Deb put me on to Paul Krugman, and I've known Paul Krugman for a while. Basically, what he's saying and how you can fight the GOP is just call them out. Just continue to call them out and continue to call out the ineptitude of Kevin McCarthy and the fact that Nancy Pelosi was a much better speaker than Kevin McCarthy. And actually, he was, I believe this is the article in which he was talking about Newt Gingrich, even though Newt Gingrich was, not a good guy, at least he was focused on policy, and he attacked basically spending programs. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what he was going after, and he did it. He wasn't successful, thank God, but he knew what he was doing. McCarthy doesn't know what he's doing. He's a toady. Okay, that's part of it. Actually, this is the article. But
this is a good article.
It's talking about how weak Kevin McCarthy is.
The one before it was good too.
Yeah. But
older. The one is from 2022. This one is
yeah, but this is similar.
Yep.
But this actually labels. This is the one that talks about Gingrich and going after the very programs that we've been talking about, the social service programs.
Right.
Okay. McCarthy is just trying to hold on for dear life. He he doesn't know what he's going to do, honestly, because now you have bullies like Matt Gaetz
This guy is
looking
just, he's lethal.
looking to shut the government down, to
Get the
show
fuck away.
how much we need the government.
Yeah, if
And
we have
by
to
the
shut it
way,
down for a few days, if we have
and
to
by the
shut it
way,
down for a few days, no sweat, no skin off his back. You know what? The skin off a lot of other people's backs. That's exactly what I mean about the Republican Party. They do not give a fuck about you.
what happens with a natural disaster?
Yeah, well,
No
I don't
Army
know.
Corps.
Maybe a few days will be okay. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
exactly. Congress returns to try to prevent a government shutdown while the GOP weighs an impeachment inquiry. Okay. So let's see here. So Jennifer Rubin, she has a different idea as to how to deal with it, and her idea is basically ostracism.
Yep.
You don't pay any attention to these guys. You don't vote for these guys. You don't give them attention. You don't watch their news interviews.
Right.
You don't buy their products. You don't you don't listen to them. And once you take away their attention, there's nothing else that they have. Now, Deb and I know that that's not realistic to do for everybody, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for instance, but it can work.
Yeah. We're not saying don't respond to what they do. We're not saying don't talk to them. What we're saying is don't just give them a platform and a microphone to spew their venom.
Right.
In order to fight them, you have to fight them on their level. But you don't need to invite Donald Trump in on to meet the press and hand him a microphone and essentially just with your stupid ass questioning. I don't even know. That's some of those questions that wouldn't even pass freaking journalism 101.
Right.
Okay? You don't sit him down with a microphone and let him just run wild.
Right. Now,
That's exactly right. I love it.
let me explain. She doesn't mean literally,
No kidding.
right? But I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to hear that too. But the only way to purge the GOP of Trump is to burn the Republican Party down with no survivors, which means you shun them
Right.
completely.
Right.
You don't give them a way to recover.
Right.
Anyone who backs Trump, you don't pay him any attention. None. That include, and she's going on the news to tell these people this, and
Right.
the news people are the ones who probably want to hear this the least
Right.
because they're in the business of interviewing these guys. So, Washington Post opinion writer Jennifer Rubin said Sunday on MSNBC's AM Joy, it's MSNBC, the only way to purge the GOP of Donald Trump supporters is to burn the Republican Party with no survivors. What we should be doing is shunning these people. Shaming these people is a statement of moral indignation that these people are not fit for polite society. And this is a woman who worked for the GOP.
Right.
So,
She's a former Republican.
right. Now,
And she is
Dave,
one of my favorites, I have to say.
yeah, Dave. And by the way, if you guys get a chance, watch the video. It's a very short video. I think it's like 2 minutes. It's worth it.
Yeah.
But Dave, aren't you being a little harsh? next week we're going to be talking about Trump's agenda. It's called Agenda 47.
Right. You know what that 47's all about? He's planning on being the next president.
I'm going to read a little bit of this. These are his words, Donald Trump's words, okay? As president, it was my honor, and this is a transcript, September 14th of this year. So, as president, it was my honor to support America's homeschool families and to protect the God given right of every parent to be the steward of their children's education. So, I pledge to allow homeschool parents to use 529 education savings accounts to spend up to $10,000 a year per child, completely tax free to spend on costs associated with homeschool education. Ensure that every homeschool family is entitled to full access to the benefits available to non-homeschool students, including participating in athletic programs, clubs, after-school activities, educational trips, and more. What's he doing? Attempting to dismantle the public school system.
He sure is.
Okay.
By the way, hello?
Yeah.
Someone should tell him his math is off. So in order to stay home and teach your children, you're going to have to stop working.
Right. Right.
But it actually cost $16,390 per pupil to educate them in a public school system.
Yeah.
Just so you understand that.
Yep.
Okay. Big fucking deal.
Now, there's more, Deb. There's more.
Yeah.
As president, it was my honor to support. Oh, wait a minute.
You read that.
America's homeschool families and to protect the God-given right of every parent to be the steward of their children's education. Here we go. Since the China virus,
Unbelievable.
I mean, really,
fucking believable. I mean, this guy is revolting on every possible fucking level. He is like a walking, steaming pile of shit. He really is.
So
you want to call
he's basically
Donald Trump again?
Yeah. American has seen an estimated 30% increase in homeschool enrollment. I'm not going to repeat what I just said in the previous thing, other than to say to every homeschool family, I will be your champion. Do not vote Democrat. They're looking to destroy you. Hold on. Okay. To every homeschool family, I will be your champion. Do not vote Democrat. They are looking to destroy you. If you don't mind my saying that, you already said it, so what does it matter if I mind? Joe Biden can't put two sentences together, and yet he's looking to destroy you. Do not vote Democrat. Do not vote for Crooked Joe.
I might like to remind everybody, Honest Donald.
Honest Donald.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody that Joe Biden isn't under indictment. Honest Donald is.
And by the way, how many lies did you count?
Oh, fucking unbelievable. Every time he opens his fucking mouth, every time his lips are moving, he's lying. Every time.
There was an article that like counted lies.
Washington Post, 30,573 in 4 years. They're all documented.
Right.
It's right up on my it's on my browser.
You know what? Add that in the sources.
Yep, I will.
Because he called himself Honest Donald, and
Honest Donald. You'd be fucking kidding me.
So for you guys, there's a little bit of homework if you want to take it upon yourself. Little research on Agenda 47 again by Salon, and there's more. And also in Trump's little website here, it says a lot more actually about the whole Agenda 47. I'll go into it a little bit, but we're going to do it next week. Here we go, Deb. Here's some titles. Yeah, President Trump's pledge to homeschool families. President Trump's 10 principles for great schools leading to great jobs. America must have the number one lowest cost energy and electricity on Earth.
Read,
God knows.
read fossil fuel.
Yep. What are we going to do? Like, two freaking rocks together again?
Yeah.
Ending the nightmare of the homeless, drug addicts, and dangerously deranged on American streets.
You're talking about the right wing, the Proud
Yeah,
Boys. Yeah,
we're not talking about Kyle Rittenhouse.
yeah.
Returning production of essential medicines back to America and ending Biden's pharmaceutical shortages. Hold on. He's got to talk to JD Vance because JD Vance was, hanging out with the Sacklers for a little while.
Yeah.
Um, okay, here we go. And this, by the way, this is not legal, just so you know. President Trump calls for death penalty for human traffickers. Now, that might sound good, but what exactly do they mean by human trafficking?
Right.
You
What are you
know,
talking about?
most of the time it's for labor, by the way.
Right.
It's not for child prostitution and all that stuff.
It's child labor that they're
Yeah.
actually trafficking kids for.
Yep. Rescuing America's auto industry from Joe Biden's disastrous job killing policies after,
And he put that in after the strike.
well, I believe didn't the unions come to an agreement? I believe they did.
Yeah, they did. Well, yeah, they did today.
Okay, so here's another one. Rebuilding America's depleted military. How the hell are you going to do that since Tommy Tuberville has blocked every single friggin' appointment forever?
Oh, when he wants to when he wants to return America's military, he wants to take out all the wokeness. Let's all
Right. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Protecting. Okay, hold on. And again, this is what we're talking. This is what we've been talking about for the past 40 minutes to an hour. This has never gone away. Marxism means social programs. Okay. It means teaching people social integration. Okay. Protecting students from the radical left and Marxist maniacs infecting educational institutions.
Can I just say something? He had the absolute nerve to say that Joe Biden couldn't put a sentence together. Look at the way he talks. He talks like he's on a fucking schoolyard. He's out in the fucking schoolyard with his friends. He's the most ignorant, uneducated, fucking stupid man I have ever encountered in public life.
Protecting Americans by taking on Big Pharma and ending global freeloading.
He's a fucking asshole. He really is.
Cementing, oh Lord, I got to take a look at this. Cementing fair
Trade Act.
God help me. The U.S. will make a fortune. You'll be rolling in dough. God. Using impoundment to cut waste, stop inflation, and crush the deep state.
Jesus Christ. Are they related?
Addressing, I know we're just touching the tip of the iceberg, guys. We really are. I'm going to go. This might be like a 2-3-parter.
Yeah,
honestly,
it might have to be. We need to really go into this. We can't. Even if we don't do anything else for 3 weeks, this has to get done.
Right. Addressing the rise of chronic childhood illnesses. I don't know. Maybe like COVID. Maybe like vaccinations.
They don't want to they don't want to talk about what's causing the rise of childhood illnesses. One of the things that's causing the rise of childhood illnesses is global warming.
That too. And pollution.
That's right.
And by the way,
ending the scourge of drug addiction in America. Ronnie Jackson's going to be his ambassador there since he's addicted to Ambien.
Okay, this was just thrown in there. Celebration of 250 years of American independence at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. What the hell? Day one executive order ending citizenship for children of illegals and outlawing birth tourism.
Here he goes.
We already did that one.
Yeah, he keeps going. Like I said, he's got a lot.
Biden's regulatory onslaught. Oh, here we go. Firing the radical Marxist prosecutors, destroying America. Everybody's a Marxist.
Yep. I am too.
And by the way, that was page one.
Right.
There's like 43 pages of this crap.
Yeah. Understand, folks.
I'm just saying. And
he really is.
People are calling this dangerous rhetoric and crazy town policy.
It is.
And by the way, this was up when Meet the Press did their interview. Okay. This is what we're talking about.
I mean, this is like, everybody's worried about Agenda 2025. Okay.
Right.
This is like an expansion of that.
Right.
Because as we all know, when he was in office the first time, with the last agenda put out by the Heritage Foundation, he enacted almost 70% of what they wanted.
Right. And once again, this whole idea of the radical left media and everything is leftist and Marxist, and anything that is a social program is bad. Anything that helps the people is bad, is communist and socialist and Marxist.
If the GOP does what is on this list, if they are returned to office and they do what's on this list, do you know how many people will be on the streets and homeless? Any idea?
And how many people will die?
Yeah, how many people are going to die?
Not to be dramatic, but they will die.
Yeah, they will. This guy doesn't give a shit. He does not give a shit. He's a king. He wants to be king. It's time everybody understands this. He's a sick fucking puppy. He is.
I didn't go into this. I'm just, good God.
Yeah, the last time something was sold out, there were about 500 empty seats.
Well, this is September 25th.
That's today.
Let's see.
Tomorrow?
Yep.
Today.
Yeah.
To
get tickets, it's 404 not found. Maybe it's because it's sold out, but I was just curious how much the tickets were.
It's South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Let me just say, it's South Carolina.
Yep. Jesus. I'm just saying, this is scary. It really is scary stuff. Let's see what. Oh, oh Lord. All right. Let's just see here. Oh, God damn. Okay. So, Deb, here you go.
Yep.
President Trump created more than 1.2 million manufacturing and construction jobs,
that's a lot.
Brought supply chains back from overseas, and hold on, broke a 35-year-old record for small business optimism in 2018. Now, how do you measure small business optimism? You don't. Jesus. So that was that. This is all right. So
Actually,
here we go.
left office 3 million jobs down from before he came in. That's the actual fact. I can put that article in.
So, all right. He got endorsements from a couple of people in South Carolina.
Of course he did. We call it South Kakalaki, and for a reason.
Right. Attorney General Alan Wilson, Secretary of State Mark Hammond, and House Majority Leader Davey Hyatt.
Yeah, there you go. They're all
and
fun.
a dozen members of the South Carolina, Lemmings of Representatives.
Yeah.
House of Lemmings.
House of Lemmings.
So, but that's pretty much that's what I have for now. I mean, next week is going to be that whole Agenda 47, and I'm going to do a deep dive into. There are several articles about this, and I'm going to go as deep as I can into some of it. Some of it is pretty self-explanatory. His attacks on the educational system, talking about parental rights, and we say it over and over and over and over again.
Drives me nuts.
The schools do not take rights away from the parents. The parents can opt out of programs. And by the way, some of the like the word problems, if parents have problems with some of the word problems because they're too woke or whatever, teachers do have ways of getting around that. They do.
It's so ridiculous.
It
None
is.
of this was a problem until 2016. None of this was an issue. Public health was respected and revered until 2016. Okay. All right. Science was respected until Donald. Well, he just is poisoned just about fucking everything. This guy.
So just to give a little bit of personal background, I was in the educational system. I was a graduate student, and I was studying to be and working to be a public school teacher, which later on I decided that just wasn't for me between 2004 and 2012. During that time, cultural diversity was a keystone of education. Now it's non-existent.
I know. I want to just say one other thing too about sex education in the
Right.
public school system. Laura Healy in Massachusetts has just proposed a new framework, age appropriate, for full sex education in Massachusetts, which has passed the first test of acceptance. When I was young, I went to Catholic school. Now, I'm 70. My sister is 80. My sister and I were talking the other day, and we both remember very vividly the nuns teaching us about sex and marriage. And they were very descriptive on how you had sex to make a baby. I remember it. Did they infuse it with, you can't do this until you're married? It's a sin if you do, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they did. But they told us and they taught us about once a month stuff. My parents weren't teaching us that. And frankly, my kids learned all of that in school. And I was happy that they did because I didn't have to sit them down and do that. They're fine. Okay. I just don't understand it. If it's age appropriate, it shouldn't be an issue. And as far as I'm concerned, all of this nonsense about let's not talk about gay people and transgender people and maybe people who have some disabilities and some people who think differently, blah, 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 blah. Those people all exist in the world. You're either going to acknowledge that or your kids are going to find out themselves when they get out into the real world when you're not here to put them in a fucking plastic bubble anymore.
Right.
So grow up. You're the ones that need to grow up.
How is How is stating those people exist communist? They're different. Okay, they're different. They need to be treated differently. They're not all the same.
No,
So
we're 337 million Americans. Not fucking one of us in this country is the same. I'm not the same as you. I'm not the
right.
same as my kid. I'm not the same as my sister, and I'm certainly not the same as my mother was.
And please
Nobody's the same.
talk to people about No Child Left Behind and how that worked. Talk to
Every
people about,
child was left behind.
yep, and talk to people about separate but equal. It doesn't work. None of that stuff works. It's all BS construct.
All right, so before my blood pressure gets any higher, we're gonna stop right now. So
Next week's gonna be fun. Deb's head's gonna blow off.
it is, yeah, I'm gonna have exploding head. I am. Be prepared. I might have to put some, if you see me here with, medical tape wrapped around my head, like I've got some kind of fucking, like a mummy. That's probably why. I just don't want my head to explode on camera.
Yeah.
All right, gang, we'll see
Have
you
fun, y'all.
soon.
Yep.